Fresh off the heels of a recent video where I delved into the thought process of reflecting quite often, for me, that's twice a year, on my creative progress and reassessing where I am. This channel finds itself in the crosshairs quite often. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that I always enjoy, right? Because I say to you guys so many times, so often, that time is such a limited resource. And I think the things we choose to do with our time is so important. And this channel is a space where there's a lot of duality. Not only the time that I spend choosing the things I want to speak about, but also the time you spend to be present with me on the things I choose to speak about, and then reflecting on how that permeates through your world and your craft and your creativity. So here is a small channel update. Channel updates are super interesting because it's not only about me informing my community about what's going on, where I'm going, how I'm feeling, but it's also like it's a snapshot of a milestone that I use to reflect on ever so often. Less frequent than my twice a year checking, but I'll go back and I'll look at the channel updates for this channel, our Older Lifestyles Defined channel, because it's such a great representation of where I was creatively at that moment. And that allows me to assess the way I want to assess, right? Like, I can sit and marvel at the growth of where I came from. I can sit and marvel at, wow, at that time I can see the fruit of the work and the achievements for a lot of the hard work I was putting in. And then sometimes I can look back 2 or 3 channel updates removed and I can say, whoa, I really love that I used to do that. And it was something that got lost. And oftentimes that conversation, which I'm so happy I was able to recognize through channel updates and break away from as owning my creativity, a lot of that was appeasing algorithms, appeasing trends, appeasing, well, you got to do shorter videos because people have the attention span of a grape. People may, but my audience doesn't. And it's a long discovery road within those two nuances that channel update is a tool to understand where I was, where I wanted to go, and where I am today, and where I'm going to go. So yes, I like to do these channel updates infrequently, but I think once every 2 years or so, it's always great to drop one. And then it's always great to have your input, your thought, your feedback, and where it's going, and hold me accountable to things I've said leading up to this channel update. That's also dope as well. I broke it down into three main points that I want to touch on. Number one, this channel is more about conversation. It's not about content creation, it's about conversation. And what I value about the comments that I get, and I don't quite understand why, but a lot of my audience, they don't respond in the comment section below. They'll actually hit me on Instagram or Facebook. And that's okay. That's okay. I quite enjoy the intimacy of those moments. And I get to know them outside of just a random comment on YouTube. So that's okay. But I think it's super important to have conversations, because I never want anything here, any one thought process, any one statement that I made to be concrete. It's always growing. It's always evolving. I can be wrong. I can be right. It doesn't matter. It's all contextual. So something I say about one thing, you guys may disagree because of your path, your journey. And I always want to encourage a space for conversation. I think conversation is such an amazing piece of our society and the core of our being as humans, and we miss it. We miss it in so many aspects of our lives: relationships, work, parenting, politics, like creativity. Conversation is such a lost craft, and I very much seek to create a space where conversation can grow into something truly special and meaningful for everyone involved. My second point is creating a space for discussion on creativity and growth. I think growth and creativity is such a underutilized perspective on our journey. You know, it's we do ourselves a disservice because we don't really look at how we grow. We just do. We don't take the time to sit back and assess, well, what worked, what didn't work, what were the surprises, what were the wins, what were the losses. And this channel is all about that. Like, I'm in a very vulnerable state every time I hit the record button. I'm happy to share losses with you guys because within the losses is the lessons that will arm you with the tools to make sure that the win arrives. I hope that makes sense. And I talk about things, a lot of the topics that I talk about on this channel are things that I am genuinely struggling with. And as I'm learning, I'm also documenting and pulling you guys in that discussion. And it's also about diffusing or disarming the anxiety around learning and not knowing and being vulnerable about not being able to achieve the result that you want. And I would love to have all of you guys right here in this room. And a lot of my photography friends will tell you, we have these conversations at length. And this is the gift that I want to give to my community. I don't want the conversation to stay on the phone with Jerry or Edgar, because I think the value that I get from those conversations are mind-blowing, and that value only exists because of the journey that each individual person has had. So I can speak to them about any one thing, the same topic, but I get two totally different perspectives and both are valuable. And likewise, when I put this out there to you guys, it's the same exact thing. And then we all learn together. So I really want to create a space for creative growth. And of course, there'll be times where I talk about cameras, I talk about lenses, talk about gear, we talk about technique. But for the most part, you'll see me touch on those pieces. And if I chose to talk about a specific piece of gear, then you pretty much know that that's baked into the experience of my creative journey, right? Like, I'm no longer in a space where, yo, Godox, can you send me that new light? And I'm in a space where you guys may not see it because it's behind the camera, but I've just acquired 3 Godox strobes in the last, 2 weeks. Right, I got an Explorer 600 and I got 2 400s. Crazy story behind that someday. And the thing here is now I'm leaning into portraits, and I'm making sure that I have the tools that I need that can grow with me, that I can learn on, and not have to rebuy things. You know, buy once, cry once. Right? There's that old saying. So, yeah. There'll be many topics of conversation here, but it'll all be related to the growth as a creative. And that's always gonna be my angle. That's what I'm striving to achieve on this channel. And lastly, there's this moniker that I've developed recently that I keep saying to myself, anytime I find myself obsessing over a piece of gear or a specific technique, I always come back to this phrase. Photography is the lens, creativity is the focus. And you guys have heard me say this in various iterations. Our cameras, our lighting, our lenses, like they're tools, and they're tools to get a job done. And the focus is the job. Like my entire being in my creative space is to capture the humanity, capture life, capturing people are like I remember reading about the history of photography and how people perceived it when it was first developed as a medium, and people were very like standoffish about it because there was this feeling that this device, this thing, this devilish thing is stealing your soul. We don't want that. I think it's hilarious, and I think that's what I'm aiming for. When someone sits in front of my camera, I want you to be able to see their soul. I want when I have a client, I have a portrait session, and I send them the portraits after, and they just stop and look and go, wow, that is me. And the hope is if that person struggles with seeing who they really and truly are, it is a gift that I've given them. No, this is who you are. This is how you look. This is the energy that you exude. That's my goal. And that's sort of the driving force that I've been in the last year and a half wrapping this channel around. And that's the mindset that I'm gonna have going forward. And I quite thank you guys for being here with me along in this journey. And I want to reiterate, because I say it at the end of every video, but it is very true and very real to me. Time is the most important resource that we have. And I do not take it lightly that you chose to spend some of it here with me today. My name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.